To some, this is nothing more than cardboard and ink. But to those who know, these are precious metals, rare gems, a full set it took 15 years to complete. Low-pop rookies, hypnotizing hollows, one of only a handful in the universe, or an heirloom to look after for the next generation. No matter what you collect, raw or graded, to have and to hold, or to crush your opponents with, what matters is that it's real. Introducing eBay's Authenticity Guarantee for trading cards. Our third-party authenticators inspect every detail of your card and compare it to the listing to make sure it's the real deal or no deal, because we know just how much your collection means to you.
Finally, you can stay in control of your thumbsticks. Natural evolution gave the gecko its amazingly strong grip. Our multi-patented SetX technology duplicates the microstructured fibers on a gecko's foot for a revolutionary new way to get a grip on game controller thumbsticks. Like a gecko's foot, the thousands of microstructures on each SetX anti-slip thumbstick grip provide high friction to the skin surface for a secure, comfortable grip, even when sweaty, giving you a competitive advantage. Stay in control with the secure and comfortable grip of SetX thumbstick grips. Inspired by nature, perfected by science.
Welcome everyone to day 5 of the VCT Challengers North America Open Qualifier number 1. My name is Sully, joined here with Upmine. We are down to our final 4 teams. That means we have only 2 more spots left in Open Qualifier number 1 to join our invited team in Challengers Split 1. It's an exciting day, and yesterday we had 2 teams qualify, that being Team Breakthrough and Team Disguise Toast. And well, today's matches, they get a whole lot better, and we have 2 here on the main stream, Gus.
Yeah, and it's the only 2 that y'all can watch for the first time. We only have 1 stream going on, and it's some pretty big games. Again, we've already gone through 2 of our qualified spots, but there's still 4 more to go, 2 of them being decided today. And Sully, from the games that we've watched before already, from the caliber of the teams that they've been playing off against, these are some rematches, essentially. These are pretty familiar spaces for these teams. If anything, today is the most ready that these teams are.
Yeah, I think for at least our second matchup, that being the Nation and Dark Ratio, it's 2 teams that it's like, wow, the Nation made it this far with Stu 2K, and wow, Dark Ratio, we're in the lower bracket from the get-go, and that is our rematch later today, our second best of 3 for the stream, so that's a really exciting one to watch. A lot of talented players between those 10, but for our first matchup today, Oxygen Esports, who we got to see yesterday play their qualification game against Disguised Toast, ended up losing in 2-0 fashion, got dominated on the first time, had a very close second map. They are looking for redemption in the sense that a lot of people had them kind of posted up as, okay, this team should instantly qualify through the Open Qualifiers. And for their performance yesterday, it's hard to say that they will today. Yesterday was just a lot of hard carries between Map 1 and Map 2. Yeah. Map 1 of Pearl, it was down to Scuba, was +9 above all of his teammates. And then for Map 2 on Ascent, it was Pony who finally came alive. He was +12 over everyone else. So I think for at least Oxygen Esports, it's a matter of let's all come together collectively and try and at least support one another so it's not just a hard carry going on.
Yeah, and on the other side, you have Silk Road, who a lot of you might be seeing the name Silk Road for the first time, and actually a lot of these players' names for the first time, but the core of this team has been together for almost 2 years now. Since the summer of 2021, these players have been playing together for at least through at least 2 or 3 different rosters, and they've been playing a lot of LANs. They've been playing almost every Tier 2 tournament that you could imagine. If anything, if there's any team that's tenured, it's actually this team right here. And I mean, from the other players that they actually added actually have a lot of experience with this 5. Their first BO3, I think they ended up playing, was actually more than 4 months ago.
Yeah, and obviously we want to talk about these rosters, but before we hop into that, between these two teams, we talk about veterans, we talk about a core. I want to look at these two spotlight players, specifically looking at Scuba and Fletcher, two of the main controllers for this lineup. And I think yesterday, Scuba, and we'll talk about it as we head into the map pool, but Scuba was a guy that has always performed from his tenure at Knights during the VCT last year, now here in Oxygen, he's been in lights out form, a 244 ACS. I think probably the most impressive stat is he's got a 1.5 KD, but is also nearly averaging a kill per round. And that's as a controller. So you can kind of get a feel for how good this guy is. And for Fletcher, I think yesterday was probably one of his best performances going against OR Esports. He doesn't have the most crazy stats, but I think going off of what he was able to do yesterday, especially when we go on Ascent, when we're looking at that first map, when we head into the map pool, he was really critical in all their defensive rounds from map to map. So these two players, they're controllers, and they're very key to the winning stature of both of these sides.
Yeah, let's already move on over towards our maps, because if anything, we have a bit of a weird BO3 here. We had some preferred maps in terms of Haven and Bind, but both of those two maps weren't picked whatsoever in the first phase. Instead, we're getting Ascent and Breeze, which is actually pretty fun because we're slipping Breeze in there, and we're not going to be seeing Breeze too much more very soon. So, okay, not too bad of a BO3 considering the fact that Pearl is at the end too, very consistently played.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of this map pool purely because for Silk Road, we did get to watch them play Ascent yesterday. They looked really good against Disguise. I mean, I mean Pony looked really good against Disguise. The rest of the team, I think, unfortunately, if they had stepped up, that might have made the difference on that map of Ascent. We could have seen a 3-map banger against Disguise. Our second map being Breeze, that being Oxygen's map pick. One of their better maps. They're 8-0 on it at the moment, so I think that's also a really strong map from the play, and it's one that, apologies, I got my stats wrong there. It's Oxygen Esports who are 8-1, not 8-0. And then for the Silk Road, there as well, a pretty formidable team on it, sitting currently at a 5-1 record. So our first two maps are really competitive for both of these teams, and we head to that third map of Pearl. That's where, for me, questions start to arise, because we saw how they played against Disguise Oxygen, and it was up against a really slow calling of Steel that just manipulated them, forced rotations, and they just looked a little bit uncomfortable. It was Scuba that stepped up, but no one else was apparent there.
Yeah, no, on Pearl, we ended up seeing players who defensively were actually having some incredible weeks. Players like Verno, players like Mitch, but Mitch specifically on that map, and the pick that he ends up getting on that map, the fade, is actually one of the bottom fades in this entire tournament. Out of 13 fades, he's actually number 10 currently, and it's not exactly because of the fact that he's being proactive on that defensive side. If anything, he's just not getting any sort of opportunities on the fade. We're not getting big opportunities from Verno either. I mean, he actually went from 6 assists, 7 assists in his first game on Pearl, going all the way down to only 1 assist facing up against the Nation yesterday. So I'm sure the entire team has to step up more, right? It was just an underperformance from the entire team, only one player stepping up on each map. So, I mean, just expectedly, right? A lot of players just have elements that we just haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and we're talking about the Oxygen versus Disguise yesterday, not the Nation. Don't worry, you know, I get confused too. So many teams, so much going on. But at least for me, when if we have to go to that third map of Pearl, it'll be okay. These players need to step up. But let's focus back to this first map of Ascent, which I think is going to be probably the most crucial map in our map pool because both teams have a very similar record. 80% win rate for Team Oxygen, and then a 77% win rate coming out of the Silk Road. So these are two teams that have very storied lineups, and for the Silk Road, they've played it a total of 26 times. So I think to have that 77% win rate kind of speaks volume for their quality as a team, their consistency as a team, and obviously the chemistry that they have as a team between that core three of Monty, Con Artist, and Blackheart. So Ascent being the first map, I'm looking at mainly Fletcher, not a part of that triple core of the Silk Road, to be a really key figure. They're not starting on the defense, but we're going to see how they transition and how good of a start they have and how they progressively move forward through the first half, which yesterday did not look good on their attacking side against OR Esports. They had a rough start, but they ended up coming back in the second half. And this time around, they are starting the attack. So what we don't want to see is the replication of that slow, sluggish start that came out of map 2 in their OR Esports best of 3.
Yeah, and a good thing that would help, right, is just the fact that their duelist hasn't been performing that much. Yesterday on that map, in that first half, he ended up only getting a 5-11 scoreline. He ended up going 1-4 in terms of first kills and first deaths. So, Con Artist, it just has to be that explosivity that we need, that we want. And I mean, throughout really this entire tournament, we haven't seen way too much from that explosive Jet, from what we've seen as a land demon from Con Artist. But I mean, on the other side, Ascent, it is pretty good for them, but it's not like we've seen over aggressive takes on this map or anything too crazy, I think.
No, I think for Ascent specifically, and I know you like to call it the puggy map, but lately I think between these two teams, and definitely the experience between both these teams, it comes down to a lot of who can force these 1vx's, in the sense that the X is a multi-variable where you can have 1, 2, 3 players, right? I think that's one of the key things for Oxygen Esports, and what we saw against Disguise is that a lot of it was setting Pony up with this operator and a lot of 1v1 angles where he can get a frag and kind of get out. But then he has support behind him, which creates that X variable where you have more players rushing. Like if he's playing B main, for example, and Pony's playing on that operator, he gets one, immediately has support, I'd say, from like Verno playing alongside him with Mitch, sometimes with a flash or whatnot with a KO grenade. So I think for Oxygen, it's not about these variables of forcing out duels. It's a sense of creating opportunities where Pony is in a position to frag. And that's how we saw that incredible stat line. But in the sense that, yeah, he has a great stat line because his teammates are supporting him. His teammates, when they were in 1v1s, just did not perform whatsoever.
Right, and that also comes down to the fact that we ended up seeing a lot of aggression in those takes from Disguise. No 1v1s early on in the round. It would literally just be like a minute of silence, and then everyone just pops up randomly on one side of the map. So Oxygen wasn't exactly having fun with that sort of magician's trick, but I think today it might just be a little bit different with the fact that, yeah, they are going to push Pony to be in those deeper spots, to be in more successful places, because, I mean, the first interactions that we ended up seeing from Pony, they weren't even that common. I think we only really saw 3 first contacts from him, but his kill line was insane. He ended up getting 15 kills, while I think the rest of his team, negative 11 below him, from 15 all the way down to about 4 for most of their teammates. I think there was one outlier with 8, but everyone else disastrously low in comparison to him, and that's the Jet on defense. I'm sure Verno could have a lot more impact. I'm sure literally anyone else with util could be able to have more impact. So again, just Oxygen, a little bit more space to work with today. I hope to see more, especially from, of course, Pony, right?
Yeah, I think we're kind of looking at not just Pony, but everyone else. And I think you talk about the stylistic difference and this like 1 minute slow walk that Disguise team was running with Steel as the IGL. We know he loves to play extremely slow, but this is kind of very similar to how the Silk Road play, in that it's a core of really information, right, between Monty and Con Artist and Blackheart. It's setting up Con Artist to, while he isn't the best fragger in his last 3 series, he's been exceptionally good at least breaking into sites and feeding information back into the system. And I think that's what we're going to be looking at for the Silk Road, is not necessarily as slow of a style as Steel, but we're not going to see very fast pops coming out from them. It's a lot of, okay, let's default, find a first frag if we can, and then build off of that later on.
Yeah, and just moving on into the rest of our BO3, then Ascent should be a little close, but I'm honestly very excited for the fact that we just have different maps coming up, right? Breeze hasn't been a common one whatsoever throughout this tournament, and especially for these teams, not too common. Oxygen has only played it once throughout this tournament. They played it 3 times throughout the last few months, and I think they were really forced to play it because I think they played it in a grand finals and versus a team that counterpicked them. But I'm just more excited for the fact that they are playing with a little bit different of a comp, in the fact that we'll get the Yoru a little bit later, hopefully. But the comps are here for Ascent. We're ready and raring to go.
Yeah, and I think looking at both of these sides is, again, very similar composition. Scuba, though, did not have, the best performance yesterday on Ascent playing that Astra. So him going back to the Astra might concern some people, but I think in particular, it's up against a really slow style. I give a little bit of leeway to Scuba, see what he can do now that he's playing up against a different team that, again, similarity-wise, have a lot of styles that are similar to Steel's Disguise lineup, where they like to play solo. But we're hoping Scuba comes in, right? Fresh mind. He's coming in, shakes off his last performance, no compositional changes whatsoever. So we're looking at, again, this defending lineup. Any changes? Nothing so far. I think for the attacking side, we hope that Con Artist steps up massively this time around. He's had a poor last 3 series, and on this Jet, it's one of his weaker agents. So this is what we're looking for in terms of both sides. It's going to be Con Artist stepping up, and it's going to be Scuba stepping up where he couldn't yesterday on Ascent.
Yeah, very excited to see most of that defense from the Oxygen side, because they don't have the KO, they don't have the immediate shutdown in terms of utility usage, but they do have Mitch, and Mitch just has to step up more today. We haven't seen equal leveling from him in terms of stats. We haven't seen good KD, we haven't seen good APR, but when it comes to the breach, he could put in a lot of effect in terms of time wasting and in terms of just getting his teammates into the right position. It's Ascent, and it's the same exact comp, so we're just expecting a good one.
Yeah, and again, last chance for both of these teams. It's up to Oxygen to once more have all 4 players step up. You can no longer rely on just a single hard carry. For the side of the Silk Road, this long-standing core of over 2 years between Con Artist, Monsey, and Blackheart, dating all the way back to when they were on BBG Academy, 303 Esports. What a story it would be for that 3 core to make it all the way to Challengers in 2023. But Ascent, our first map, a very even middle ground between both of these teams. And I imagine that, again, as this series progresses, we're going to see the pressure start to build up on his team, like Team Oxygen, that has inexperienced players.
Yeah. I mean, Oxygen has a lot of experience. I mean, Mitch, he has to be back. He has to come back to the top flight of Valorant. He was playing on Cloud9. He was playing international Valorant less than a year ago, Sully. This has to be the opportunity for him to come back. Oxygen wants in on VCT. Silk Road wants in on VCT. We're going to start this off now.
And this is very similar to what we saw yesterday when the Skies on the pistol round. It was the Silk Road looking to establish very early control here out towards A. And it's the Silk Road that have switched things up slightly from the 2 maps that they've played on Ascent. It's that dart mid, but its main focus is now to get them up towards Catwalk. No smoke towards the bottom. And there's no info here from Team Oxygen. This is, again, that slow kind of burst out that I was talking about. It's very similar to Team Disguise in the sense that they'll pounce on you in almost a second. Smoke goes out, and a drone to force them away, but I wouldn't be surprised if they end up canceling off of this.
No! They spotted Scuba! It's gonna be the double here, but again, just off of that one piece of information, they could be able to trap the Astra. Now they know where one is. Pony in the back of sight. Pony's shifting around, though, able to get one off Jenny. He ends up going down off of the trade. Verno, he did come into heaven a bit fast, and he could be able to get a pick or two. There are 2 players down to red, but instead Oxygen, they're waiting for the retake.
A great recon dart. Blackheart able to catch 2 players there. Mitch still has that fault line as Verno, I think through the underboards of heaven, is able to find one frag, brings us to a 3-on-3, but Blackheart a great dink back.
Here comes Verno, has to get some sort of trade back. His teammate is right behind him, so it's just gonna be a bit of a waterfall. Monsey does get a hit on, but not the kill. How does Verno get dim some boy? Now it's a 1v2. Blackheart waiting for the drop. It's a double drop, and they coordinate it perfectly. Mitch gets the frag, and Oxygen drags back the round.
Such a close pistol round between 2 teams that have a 50-50 pistol win rate. It's as scrappy as you get just to kick off round number 1. And Oxygen, a lot of people were kind of touting them to, again, instantly qualify on this first qualifier. People are like, yeah, they've only lost 2 best-of-3s ever since coming together, and then they lose their 3rd against Disguise. They've looked exceptionally good. And now, in this lower bracket, again, best chance for both these teams to qualify. You move in, you lose here. Yes, you have an opportunity, a last chance qualifier next week. Because it's 255 other teams that are competing for only 2 spots. So this is truly your last best chance to qualify for Challengers.
Silk Road, you heard that, right? Surely. I mean, I know you're playing the game, and I know you're not actually listening to the casters, but you know the stakes. This is a big, massive opportunity. A lot of teams who were upset earlier, too. Some strong players who we've seen in the top flight of Valorant didn't even play in the top 32.
Yeah, and I feel like for a team like the Silk Road, it's a team that's unexpected. There are a lot of teams that I felt made really deep runs that were unexpected. Like, I think it's like Jalib or Jalibu. I don't know. Jilibu, that's what it is. Yeah, they made a deep top 16 run, and so we've seen a lot of crazy runs. I think the Silk Road is one that kind of went under everyone's radar, and now that they're here, you're seeing the talent from them. But I think progressively, as it's gone deeper into the bracket, players have started performing worse. I think most notably Con Artist, who in his last 3 series had a .77 KD and a .62 KPR. And on your Jet Duelist, that is not a number you can have. He's -10 in the first kill and first death department, which is also a really concerning number if you're going up against someone like Pony, who's looked exceptionally good in his last 3 series.
Silk Road, they have players who step up very firmly on defense. Like we said, we need that X factor on attack. They're going to be making their way into B main.
And Pony, top dog again. Had a great performance yesterday against the Skies. Just gets a light spot. He's going to be here alone. Not too far off. One of those players that we're looking to really pop off. And okay, nice gravel combination from Scuba.
10 seconds left.
That'll net him 4, and it looks like already Oxygen taking this nice, clean second round. But yeah, there's one of those players that you wanted to step up, Gus. Someone that played exceptionally well 2 series ago, did not have any impact in their series against Disguise. Is already off to a flying start at 7-2. That puts him 1 off now the Hunter's Fury.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those maps where you can definitely do a lot more.
Everybody has a Hunter's Fury. Perfect.
Already. With the death, too. I mean, that's pivotal. But again, excited to see Verno. Excited to see what Oxygen is actually going to do under pressure.
Charlie Mike, let's move.
Now with rifles in the hand of the Silk Road, it's Blackheart who is as well, only 1 off of his ultimate. So we'll see these Hunter's Furies maybe come into play. There's already pretty deep pings coming out towards A-Man. I think maybe that was a call from Mitch to utilize his fault line, but there's no alarm bot here towards mid coming from Oxygen. Somewhere where we typically see it, they are set up for Catwalk instead. And they're gonna have instead Verno jump spotting towards bottom mid, seeing what he can spot, but it's a slow start for the Silk Road. And we'll see how these adjustments in the defensive setup come from Oxygen.
Yeah, Mitch hears anything, he's going to call Randy Savage to try to cross Cat with him. And it will be such a bait. Again, there will be no way that they expect. They will check, but there's no way that they expect
My ult is ready.
breach in that corner.
And it's such a forward alarm bot where typically you see those alarm bots and you can see on the map the ping is coming out from the Silk Road in that kind of tree area. But instead, it is such a forward spot on Cat. And they're going to early pop this Cat play. Nanostorm to keep anyone from swinging onto Mitch. And a Hunter's Fury, the 40th second to try and keep them back. But Dim Sum Boy with a great frag on the Mitch.
Yeah, Mitch, he just wanted the fight. Ends up getting slapped down for 2 players in Cat, ready to swing. They're about to get flashed. And a Hunter's Fury here to try to kill it too. There's still one person shifting around. Pony in the smokes. Ends up getting back into sight, can readjust, and can try to defend now. Con Artist around the corner! Takes down Pony! The player who could have done it all does nothing. Con Artist, well done.
I think this might put Auction at an instance where they're looking at maybe just getting exits, because I think the feasibility of this retake coming through is pretty low. And I don't think they want to save these Bulldogs. You'll have a full buy going into the next, but this round built up, again, slow and progressive from the Silk Road. They work Blackheart, who was 7 out of 8 on that Hunter's Fury, to getting this A main orb. It was Oxygen who elected to react first. They popped their Hunter's Fury to try and force these players off the catwalk. Didn't work out. Just 1 kill going to Oxygen now. And it will be Verno looking to save this rifle as we head into the 3rd round, where Silk Road, or apologies, the 4th round, where Silk Road, they do net their first here on the attack.
We're going to keep tracking this throughout the BO3, but just good stuff over towards Cat. That 1v1 between Con Artist and Pony. Just going to keep that momentum up, going to keep that confidence up for a person that just hasn't been able to get any sort of positive interactions throughout the last few days. It's good to see Con Artist back. It's good to see Silk Road with a W. But the next round, Op is already out in the hands of Pony. So things should get fun.
He's gone Glass Cannon here as well. And yesterday, he picks up the Op much more frequently. And I think on a map like Ascent, on the defensive side, it works a lot better, a 30% pick rate with the Operator. He'll take it here towards A main, but they do spot him, so he has no dash to get out, but this is, again, the slow progressive style of the Silk Road. An early dart out towards mid, and a very forward alarm bot towards mid. That's not posted up in the middle where Pizza and Orchid are. It's right up front where that early contact will be made.
That shock dart, almost with impeccable timing. Able to get 1 off of that, but again, the early position setup from Oxygen. It's left Pony in a really good position, but he's actually backing out right as a TP happens and an L drone.
And they're going to get aggressive towards Cat after losing the same main control. You still have Mitch, who's been holding on to this fault line. The orb gets tapped and he's going to force these players away, presumably keeping them off of A main. But 50 seconds left, 55 seconds left. Pony's taking the up back towards mid. It's a late clear here as well from the Silk Road. They had a dart early mid, but do they expect someone else to be here?
He still has the dash. He could go into the edge of the smoke and maybe just try to get 1 out of this. But Oxygen, we desperately need some rotations. It's only 2 here towards B. He could shift back towards site.
And these players, yeah, they're falling back. They're playing off this alarm bot, this smoke, this gravel here towards B main. But I don't know if there's a knife here available yet for the Silk Road, but they will make their way onto site. Again, splitting this offensive play with 20 seconds left. Randy Savage and Verno, they can put an end to this whole play.
Oh, he wanted to go for the off angle, but Randy gets nothing. 15 seconds left, and Verno's not able to chunk any time off of that. plant will be able to go in. 3 players only for Oxygen making the retake. 1 person's already up close. Scuba looking for the peek onto Blackheart, but Blackheart gets nothing.
And that caught Mitch. That knife caught Mitch. So he's got no util to work back into the site. And these trades are excellent from the Silk Road. Crossfires being held across the site, and Oxygen, they have a couple stars left, but that's really all they're working with now.
It's gonna be a long star. The smoke actually goes up to give them some more space. And the recon bolt almost used as a bit of a decoy, but this is actually working for Oxygen. Pony gets the 1, but the trade actually goes back immediately. Knows maybe that the 1 is in the back. The smoke is up to try to distract. Time is ticking away. Blackheart is not peeking, playing all the time in the world. Well done by Blackheart, forcing Scuba to do the swing, and 2-2 goes the scoreline to them.
And in these 1v1s, I think particularly on the post plant, you kind of put a lot of faith in the Silk Road. Every single player is capable of clutching these 1v2s, these 1v3s.
Oh yeah.
With everyone boasting a plus 20% clutch rate across 360 rounds. They have a 20% clutch rate. That's a lot of clutches to play for. And if everyone's got a plus 20, you bank your money on them, they can pull them off. They reset Oxygen
Let's
here.
take what they have.
And it's going to put the Silk Road with the economic advantage. An opportunity to take this lead for the first time. And in these post plants, they've been wildly successful. And that's their second one, or their third one, apologies, in their second round in a post plant 1.
Oxygen, of course, need to make some sort of impact out of this round. You saw some close peaks, but I love this from the Silk Road. I love this call. We just saw, again, a lot of early contacts from the Silk Road. No actual execs, but at least peaks. This is total patience from the Silk Road. No peaks in B main, no peaks in A main. By giving Oxygen an inch.
This is similar to how Oxygen struggled against Disguise team, is that they had no information. There was really minimal aggression. And it would give opportunities where you would break this kind of piece of util, that turret in particular, and at this mark, this 40-second mark, they would start to walk up. And this is what the Silk Road have done. And one of the weaknesses that we saw yesterday, the Oxygen side, weren't able to deal with these kind of very fast, out of nowhere pop plays, and Randy Savage nearly getting caught. Great fall line, doesn't catch Fletcher. As he's able to clean that kill up. And it puts the Silk Road straight onto the B site in a 4-on-5.
There's one person who can have a whole lot of fun here. He has the cross. And up in B main. Again, we've seen a little bit from Fletcher, mainly on the defensive side, but here on the attacking side, could pad his stats a little bit. Pony goes for the wide swing. Fletcher finally going for something. Finally gets a pixel and finally takes down Pony. But from behind, there goes Scuba. Full outside control now for Oxygen. They can play exits, maybe even go for this.
Yeah, they're going to pop this Cosmic Divide and
They're
give
going
Savoy. He's caught in the middle of the stun, I think, as well for Card Artist, who is good enough for
cover.
1. Great trades there. And puts it in a 1v2. Mitch, low-key could just hold these players in sight, remove both weapons from their hands, and he even gets another ridiculous shot from Mitch and 1 bullet left. He's done so much damage to your Oxygen.
Oh, he's far away. Wow. Yeah, so much damage. 4 guns needing to be rebought for the Silk Road. Finally, when they get some sort of win bonus below them, Oxygen might have just put themselves at least on a path back into this game if they win the next round.
We saw a timeout just getting called there by Mitch.
Come on.
Kind of the veteran experience coming into play here. You can see he keeps his nerves calm, knows what the objective is just get exits. Every round has a purpose. With a veteran like Mitch, he'll have some words in here. I imagine he is now probably the new IGL for Oxygen. I could be wrong there.
Is he? I mean, there's a lot of new things about this Mitch, about this iteration of Mitch, right? Because, I mean, the last time we saw him, he was playing what? KJ, Cypher, Chamber? He's only been playing Initiator this entire tournament, Sully.
And he switched off of when he was on Cloud9. Like, remember the Mitch's friends, and then Tenz's friends, or it was Tenz's friends and Mitch's friends after Mitch dropped like 40 with the operator on KJ.
Yep.
he's been around the block when it comes to agents, and so to see him transition very cleanly and smoothly from that opping role to the KJ role when he had his stint with Leaf on Cloud9, and taking kind of a backseat operating role.
Yeah.
Now is switched up, and now is playing a support initiator role to set Pony up, who now has picked up the operator again for the second time in this map. So we'll see where they want to set Pony up. where they elect to put him. It seems he's going to be playing here on the B side. A 3-player stack with a rolling thunder here set up as well. And instead of an alarm bot here towards mid, it's going to be a turret, and they'll have that for the postman or the retake with 2 stars leading up to the door on A.
Just very interesting seeing such a hard setup, such a hard read.
And it's a very early clear in towards B main that's going to give them full control and allow them to make this rotation. You post Pony up here, and you rotate everyone over. And you can see they're ready. Gravel at the front with that Nano Storm.
Yeah, there's no one on that B side for Silk Road to even feel that pressure. It's just all that information for Oxygen. 4 players are now here on the A side, but the site is completely empty. The take is going to happen, but a Rolling Thunder will come in.
Hits no one, doesn't hit anyone.
It's trapped 2 players in sight. Good smoke to cover everyone else off too, but the trade still comes in off the swing. Nobody else from Oxygen in Heaven able to swing.
And there's a lockdown here available for Dim Sunboy. Can force all these players out of Heaven. You still have Pony on a very late lurk, touching anyone towards mid, and there's that lockdown.
Yeah, there goes the shocks though. It's in a pretty good
spot. It doesn't hit it. I don't think it hits fully.
The aftershock. Here goes the shock too, and it works out. The combo of the aftershock and the shock dart ends up taking away the lockdown, but it did chunk away a whole lot of time off the clock. The player in Cat still hasn't stepped up yet. Silk Road are down 1 man. It'll be a little bit tough where the person under Heaven just needs to hold on to that spot, needs to stay alive. Blackheart able to get 1, actually make it a 2nd. Blackheart's going crazy. Last person is in Jenny and is now gone. Scuba with the final 2 frags. Oxygen, he took it real slow and made it work.
There's Scuba finally coming to life here on Ascent. A nice 3K as he works into the site, but Blackheart as well putting in the numbers, so I think 2 of the key players outside of Pony and Fletcher is Blackheart and Scuba. And both have stepped up here in their respective marks. Granted, Oxygen ended up taking the round, but it's a very close one at that. I didn't think that lockdown would break. Keep in mind for new reviewers, it has 200 HP now, so it takes a full aftershock to break it. Plus, if you miss one of them, it takes at least a shock dart to break it as well. So a lot of pressure to get rid of that lockdown, but it works out there for Oxygen, resetting the Silk Road, who it appears to have a much quicker take into the B site.
Yeah, this time, contact B, something that... Ooh, Oxygen didn't see it all in the last round. The paranoia almost going crazy. And taking down Randy Savage, good reposition. Now the Silk Road can't really do much. They already have someone at least shifting up mid to give them some sort of extra space. A good shutdown from Oxygen.
They're going to try to rework back in towards mid, that alarm bot again. And it's such a much more forward position where I think Mitch can utilize his fault, and if you were back towards Garden, which I think is the purpose of that alarm bot, is it allows them to play from Garden and send a fault line straight into market, so the timing is perfect for him on that fault line. But the door will be broken. The Silk Road. Just checking. No one in market, no one close up in B main. This will give them a little bit more room to make this split happen. Dimson Boy's got the only rifle, and he's working alone in towards B. There's still 3 players here.
He's gonna get spotted by the turret first 2.
And Mitch is gonna fault line straight into market to delay. Buy more time, and he's waiting to send it.
30 seconds left.
Finally, here comes the util for them to go out. Great scale up so far from the Silk Road. This is as close as they could get into sight. And now 2 players in the back of the site. There's no way that they expected good information. Randy Savage is just going nuts. Gonna be able to get 2 out of it. And there's still 1 more in the back of sight to try to hold on to this 1v1. Dimsum Boy in an overall 1v4. And surely there is no way they could get this plant from behind. 1 pump. Mitch has got him. Oxygen back in the lead.
And this is looking a lot cleaner from Oxygen. Putting Pony up in really key spots. And it'll be up to the Silk Road to decide how do they deal with this operator from Pony. In the sense that his positioning is going to be key for the side of Oxygen. Where he is will allow, and whatever angle he's posted up on will allow the rest of the players to kind of play off of that information. And that's what happened in the past 2 rounds. So once again, we'll see the Silk Road have a full buy. And it looks like, again, they'll start a little bit slower. Pony to work out towards mid alone, which is very, very risky.
Oh, incredibly risky now that a knife comes in, but he's good. Doesn't actually catch him. Owl drone picking him away, but we still have a lot of pressure from Oxygen. 1 player going up B main.
Yeah, and Oxygen are instead of working off this lockdown in towards tree and garden area where they want to maintain this control. They have an alarm bot, and I presume a double swarm. And I mean, that's just a lot of util dumping from tree. You got as well Mitch there with the aftershock to the fault line. so much util to just protect this part of the map to allow this lockdown. And I think that's what Silk Road are realizing. They wanted to put some light pressure there, see what they control. They have a Hunter Sphere to try and break it.
The turret's gonna spot early for the rotation.
And that contact as well. How do they manipulate off it? They've already moved Scuba over here.
Yeah, but there's no one actually shifting into heaven off of that. That's actually the weirder part for me. I thought them being so close, one of them could at least get that angle, but they just want to play full retake. They have the lockdown.
Flash.
And you can already see Blackheart has positioned himself to use his Hunter's Fury, but you have to connect all 3 shots. But instead, it pops early. Are they going to try and battle for this control? They don't need to. They've taken out the lockdown, and that's full site control in a 4-on-5.
Wow, just flipping the script with one Hunter's Fury, and the Silk Road got the site for free because of the ulti that they were defending. Now, just got a bit of a game of whack-a-mole over towards heaven. Con Artist up close, but he's gone.
A great start to this retake. I mean, this is a Silk Road that have been so good in post plants in this event. And we'll see if Oxygen are willing to work into it. I mean, they're sitting all the way back in heaven, I think, waiting for this fault line to come back. But how do they get in? A grapple to take him out, and now they come out of heaven.
Grapple is well timed, well placed, but even then, Scuba is getting traded out. 3 more players here for Oxygen. They have a great opportunity here as Silk Road. Both of these players are playing behind a smoke. They have the lineup. Neither one is getting the kill. Dimsum Boy does kill the diffuser. And there's no time. Well done, Dimsum Boy. Milliseconds left on the clock.
And it's so close. If Dimsum Boy, I don't know if it was through the smoke or right when it fades, but he gets the kill at the last possible second. And Oxygen, they tried to play with that lockdown, but instead Silk Road, it's Blackheart, who I think might have preemptively sent that Hunter's Fury, but it works. I was thinking, no way he sends it now. Why not just play for the lockdown? But he gets a pick instead. Predicts the placement of Randy Savage. And then in such a readable position, they take the round back. This round, again, full rifles with both monies at stake. Given the fact that, again, Silk Road have been losing 4 players every single round of these post plans, and Oxygen have not had an easy time either. So this round is all pivotal for both economies.
Yeah, you hear 2 Bulldogs, 1 from each side. Early spam. Randy Savage is going to have a bit of a good time here, though. Has a breach to help him out, has the fault line already ready, but not able to capitalize with the frag. Flash comes in, same thing with the Aftershock to potentially get the other angle. Randy Savage going for the 1v1 against Fletcher, but both defenders playing the crossfire are gone.
And this is a much more aggressive look from both sides. Oxygen willing to fight these early angles. Verno, big with 1, but that's the B site given up. And I don't know if you want to call a savior from Oxygen, and it looks like they are with their economy. Operator will be saved right from Scuba. And the Silk Road with a quicker look up towards mid. That recon dart, now they're starting to capitalize off the early default site setup.
Of course, over on A. I mean, the one round where the KJ util isn't there, the one round where the KJ util is on B, doesn't have the impact that they wanted. They depended on the first contact. But again, finally, the Silk Road end up getting a round where just a bit of a walk-up finally gets something for him, where again, they haven't been doing that. Just been waiting for a contact to then be able to exec. It's good patience from both teams, but it's a long-winded battle, really.
And this op being saved for Pony. They will at least be able to muster kind of a buy around it, as you can see. Pistols maybe to play off of him. At least util to set him up. The hero rifle for Scuba. So we'll see how they spread themselves apart. Scuba, we rarely see him on this B side, but that's where he's going to take the hero rifle. As you can see, Oxygen making do with what they have. The Silk Road taking the lead for the second time in this map. 2 back-to-back successful post plants.
Standing ahead.
We'll want to try and push this over the edge. A much weaker attacking side. With only 53% win rate here on the attack. It'll be keen for them to have a good start where they can close it out with almost a 70% win rate on the defensive side. So this is what we're looking for. A great start from the Silk Road. And on their map pick as well.
As they continue to step up. Finally picking away at A main. They were pretty much looking at... It's just a long game of tug of war. Trying to take back A main. The first pick that we would usually see the Jet. Not there. They don't even take the angle. They're just trying to refight it. There goes the reflash. Back from Oxygen. Doesn't find anything. The stats are basically 50-50. Oxygen, 59% defensive win rate. Silk Road, about a 53 attack-sided win rate. It's even and it's long-winded. We're getting into it finally on A. It's an empty A site.
Pony's positioning will allow these players on Oxygen to work back in towards Catwalk. He had the up towards bottom mid, but that gives Silk Road this entire site. This round isn't entirely out of the question. Oxygen with a rifle, pistols, and now he's using a lockdown. They've even committed a custom divide, a turret in front of it as well. You can't fight this Silk Road. You have to back away now.
Once they get it on site, if they get enough positions, enough predictable positions, they still have the Hunter's Fury. Here we go. Hunter's Fury going in for the corners, and there's one person detained under. Mitch getting one, Ferno with two off the Hunter's Fury, and they know that one's detained. They got him. Oxygen. They put everything into that round, and they end up coming out of it winners.
And they do it almost perfectly, like the util and the ultimate setup combination. Cosmic Divide in front so nobody can challenge the lockdown. Stun and then a turret for the contact. I mean, Oxygen had that rehearsed book by book. The Silk Road, I mean, they simply couldn't fight for it. They tried to open the door. There's a frenzy right in their face from Mitch. And Oxygen stepping up to the plate on their kind of half buy, if you will. The Silk Road almost fully reset. And what a loss it would be here. You wanted to have a lead going into the second half. If you lose here, you've got no credits. You're already kind of working with this weird scrappy buy.
Made it tight already. But early on, we're going to see almost the same thing for the last round.
And I think they're going to finish here over towards the B site. I mean, you see the early dart and the knife as well to clear market. And you're going to have the lockdown as well to work back in towards main. But this is where Oxygen are fighting. They don't want this lockdown to have any impact.
They're finally going to make that move, but they just need this contact. Good stuff off the Vandal. They still have no idea that the op is here. Pony didn't want to step off the angle, but nobody peeks. Going back over towards mid. Silk Road can go anywhere still.
I wouldn't say anywhere here. I think this is Oxygen having a really big advantage, now controlling B main, and as well having a turret in towards Garden and a peek in towards A main. This is perfect for Oxygen. They're denying all the main focal points of this lockdown. And they know how critical this round is for the Silk Road, given their economy. This is a must-win round to keep a bye moving into the next. So Oxygen put all their cards on the table. Now they've backed away from A main. Now that Pony's gone deep, now that mid has been re-cleared, they know where this hit is coming.
Breach is going to come in at a good time. Still has the fault line, still has the flashes. TP is going to go into Wine. Doesn't spot anything. And only the util begins to spill up into A. You have Con Artist on the front side. Nobody else has swung just yet, but Con starts it off well with the first shot on to Mitch. And the second person in the back also goes down to Con. Con with a 2K. 3 players are gone. Oxygen, they had the advantage in B main. They had the information, but just doesn't get the rotation in on time. There's only one person here on this side of the map.
And it's another save here from Oxygen.
Has to be.
With this kind of back and forth that we've seen between both of these teams, you're holding on to the operator, which, by the way, Pony has been holding on to for 3 rounds in a row. And they've lost 2 of those rounds. But Silk Road taking a 6 and even holding on to that lockdown, electing not to use it there on the A site. It's a great entry from Con Artist too. This match, this map, has played really, really well. One of the guys that we needed to step up here on the Silk Road has done so drastically in comparison to what he performed in his last couple of series.
Last round in the half.
And the next, a little bit of a weirder one. Again, should just be the big force around the op, but Silk Road. We are facing a technical pause. One person has gone. Pony needing to reset. So, okay, let's talk about this one. We're as even as we can get. Ascent, we were already saying that it was going to be a bit of a weirder one. One team has some better experience on it. Sure, the other one just barely even plays it. But from what we've seen so far, from the disadvantages from the last few days, things are actually changing for the positive for Silk Road.
Yeah, I think Silk Road, at least on the tag side, have looked really good. Con Artist, like I mentioned right before we went into the tech pause, he's looked really, really solid, at least in this first map and at least this first half, where his first kills are finding impact, his entries have been really good. He's not like terribly bad, given the fact that in his last 3 series he's at a 0.62 KPR. So I'm feeling good for both of these sides. Verno has stepped up massively. Pony not necessarily taking a backseat role, because I think purely that his opping angles, no one is going towards him, so he's not really finding those kills. So again, we looked at both of these teams and we said, all right, for the side of the Silk Road, you need Connor to step up. Someone that wasn't present at all in your last couple series and made almost every series extremely difficult. And then for the side of Oxygen, it was one player carrying, that being Pony. The rest of you were nowhere near to be seen. But we're seeing here great adjustments for both these sides on the maps that they've lost, given that it was Ascent for apologies for Oxygen, and adjustments from Con Artist, who's come up massively, I think, for the side of Silk Road.
Yeah, and again, whenever the Silk Road ended up actually like really doing well on Ascent, it was when Con Artist was actually doing well. They actually go back to the one defensive side where they dominated the Ganachis. I think it was like 16 kills from Con Artist alone, and nobody else had double digits. Everyone else had at least like 8 or 9. So again, this is a theme. They put Con Artist in these good positions, and they might actually continue to do so in that second half. We want to point over towards Fletcher as being a very good proactive omen, especially on the defensive side of Ascent. It's a little bit scary, but even scarier is going to be Con Artist holding W down your throat, just as Pony is trying to do here in the first half.
The last round of this half with Silk Road looking to solidify the final round. And yeah, you can see there on the scoreboard, 4 plants successful, or 3 successful plants in a row, 4 post plants, and they're winning a good chunk of them. Pony out towards mid. Early fault line look to be towards Cat and top mid, or even leaning a little bit towards A main. It's a rolling thunder that they're playing with here on the post. They've set up fully on this A site, giving Pony free range of mid and getting aggressive in towards being a big switch up from Oxygen. And one of the few times that we've seen Randy Savage play towards this A side with his util.
Yeah, it's a true util dump that will allow at least one player, of course, Pony, to rotate back, but Silk Road hasn't seen any of it.
And they're leaning back in towards B. That's where the rolling thunder is. So you've got util dump after util dump on both sides, and it's how quick Mitch reacts to this kind of play. He knows the lockdown will be used in this round, but whether it's for the post is another matter.
How can
you have to shotgun prime position, and he has rolling thunder already. I think as soon as he hears a lockdown, that's when this gets queued, or if any contact is made, and nobody, a smoke as well to cover up that recon dart all the way back towards B main, but a last second tag.
Yeah, hopefully Verno doesn't get hit.
Perfectly timed.
Curving in, gonna be able to get one, still another one dazed, but Con Artist is behind a smoke and safe, but 2 players are gone off of that one play.
And it's 20 seconds left. They have to make this re-hit happen, and Pony has already arrived to the scene with the operator. There goes another. Verno stepping up huge as Pony finds one on the op, and it's just Arthur Fletcher. An exceptional hold from the side of Oxygen puts them tied at 6-6 into the next half.
Switching sides.
I was about to ask, is that even replicable? But it's 6-6. We're at the half, and my word, finally, a momentum shifting round from Oxygen. We had a lot of one-off rounds from Oxygen a bit earlier on, just taking advantage of the fact that they ended up winning the pistol too. But that one, finally, they get something organized, not even a retake. Off the defense, Verno steps up. We need to see more off of this attacking side now.
Placing swarm grenade.
And I think immediately the numbers jump to mind. Silk Road put up a really strong first half to have a 53% win rate, and their attacking side, and to go 50-50 is really, really strong for Silk Road. And now on this defensive side, where they're a lot more dominant at around 70% defensive win rate, this is where they can shine. And we'll see how Oxygen respond, who they themselves have a really strong attacking win rate side, 70% as well. So we go neck and neck in the second half.
Literally the exact same stats for attacking and defense for both of these teams. It's great. Silk Road, they are going to have to back out potentially, though. They see the star in front of them. They know the danger. Not going to be able to peek out with it. Aldron trying to get something through the wall, and they almost actually get a ping off of it. They have all this control now. Monty just with a random shot ends up getting one.
Yeah, through the smoke as well, just spamming in that B main entrance. Pony trying to put pressure.
Spike is up.
And keep these players from hopping on as soon as the spike gets planted. They even check back the flank. Clearing out Scuba. Now with 3-on-5, and these 3 players, Randy Savage, Verno, and Pony, have to watch different angles. 2 towards door, and Verno, who's played exceptionally well so far in this map, is tasked with holding all of heaven.
Yeah, that's some great info.
Not hit by the paranoia.
No, at least 3 players. Oh, at least 3 players up in heaven. He knows it, but it doesn't even matter. The paranoia through from Fletcher does it all, and now Pony can't get anything done. Silk Road, good start.
I love how we trade back these pistol rounds. First half for Oxygen, second half for Silk Road.
It's a theme.
And I think it really does start there again with that really lucky shot through the smoke, but I think Silk Road having the peace of mind from Monsi to clear back towards Catwalk where Scuba was lurking up to take him out of the mix, removing any worries of a flank coming through, allows him to focus fully on that site. And the paranoia as well to move Verno out into the open. Great util to get Silk Road back into it, and a great start to the second half where a lot of key players are stepping up, and this is the side that we expect them to be better on. Yes, statistically, but individually, Fletcher, one of the key players on their offensive sides. And all in their last series was plus 12 on the defense alone in that series. So to have him here on the A site, especially on an Omen where he can be extremely strong as an anchor, it'll be exciting to watch him here and how he deals with Oxygen's pressure.
Oh, and I was about to say, more importantly, he's alongside the KO who has all of this suppressive util, all this information-seeking util. Speaking of information, they got all of it. All 5 players spotted by the knife, and they have to go back.
It was a deep dart as well from Blackheart, sent all the way outside of B. And now with this kind of instant silence towards A, they'll keep his shift back, drone out towards mid. He's still going to lean towards this A side. B is kind of weak, but for Silk Road right now, it's about maintaining this control and a side where they truly shine on. Getting these first 2 rounds, allowing yourself to build up economy on that bonus.
Yep.
It would be super nice.
Oh, yeah. That'll be great. Con Artist. Saw a lot from him on the defensive side of this map. Didn't expect a lot of him on the attacking side. Thank gosh we did.
30 seconds left.
But he might be in a pivotal position to shut this all down. Both players are in the back of sight. Could be able to shift around, but Con Artist has the unpredictable position, but had to dash away because the info. Monty in the middle of sight has Jenny shifting around, able to get one. No damage from Fletcher. Fletcher has to get a kill here, and indeed does. Player over towards Heaven to try to help out. The Stingers are singing. The Silk Road do get an 8th, but it was just a save there, essentially. They saved that entire situation because they just had the Stingers. They invested.
And you see the 3K that Fletcher gets and the way that he positions himself around on that A side and why I think he's such a strong defensive anchor, why he's been so clean and crucial for the defensive rounds of Silk Road. Drops the smoke in the middle of sight and just plays around it.
Yep.
Him and Monsi kind of just dancing around that smoke, working together, playing off of one another. The Stingers bought up for Oxygen in the last round. They'll have a lighter buy here with just Sheriff to see what they can do. And it looks like a full investment here towards the B side. 2 smokes anchored out towards mid. And an early look of control off of that fault line to give Pony this space.
And you just wanted the Sheriff to be in that 1v1, right? To be able to get a headshot, the Wild West type thing. But over towards mid, he might get into a 1v1 very soon. They have the Astra slowly scaling up and has been able to maintain an angle towards Market. If anyone peeks, but what on earth is that? Pony comes flying in, spraying at Dim Sum Boy. He's down to 6 HP, but they have the sight.
And that's removed the alarm button as well.
Gun here.
A lot of space opened up here now for Scuba as he's still on that late lurk. A lot of threats are available now here, and it's Monty who doesn't check. Scuba given a chance now to creep on up. 4 players from Oxygen.
Oh, there's
tucked into the backside, and Scuba Shirley gets one here. Shirley takes him
He
out.
has to hit it. There's one coming up from behind too. There's a jet in spawn, but that just might be a save setup too. Scuba shutting down any potential for this take. The Silk Road. This just has to be frustrating. An anti-eco turning into a W to their opponents.
And it's Con Artist who's saving just the operator. Has to get away with this one. And Scuba's already hunting. They know almost where he is, and you can see 5 players are starting to swarm.
They've shut down every other angle. Shirley's here. He gets the first shot. He has to dance behind the smoke, but he might just be fine. Aftershock in 50 HP. We wait another second there, and he's dead.
Yeah, I think literally half a second more, but look at this exit. Verno through the wall of B main. Finds the kill. And an updraft dash over to combo as well off of the recombo. Such a great setup, and one that
Alarm bot out.
Catches a lot of teams off guard.
Placing swarm
It's such an
grenade.
interesting one with you're working off a singular dart and giving Pony that early control up and towards B main where he can make a fast dash on. It's given now the economic advantage
Charges.
over towards Oxygen. With the Silk Road, they're able to buy back here, holding just onto that operator from the last.
It's technically just going to be one here in the middle of a B, but they have a whole lot of utility to try to cover upstairs. But Blackheart, a sheriff in a dream. Look how diligent this is, too. Gravel in the back, not a single person peeking, just putting in all of this contact. The knife's going to come in, too, and spot him. No one's on the other side of the map to try to be able to give themselves that space. They still did enough to pull in some rotations.
And I like that from Oxygen, both the stun and the Gravel to force both of those players on B to back up into sight. You even had as well as smoking towards defender spawn. So there was a lot of lack of information, just that turret they were playing off of. So whether they were pressing B or not. And then they re-exec. They cut noise, giving back the space and allowing Silk Road to think they've rotated. And now Oxygen knocking on their door. 5 players here. Smoke's charged up again, and nothing to stop them in the front. That paranoia only connects onto one, and while it slows them down temporarily, they can still get out.
This is going to be difficult. Fletcher in a tough spot. Gonna have to crossfire their teammate. And again, everyone is here for Oxygen. They have a lot of pixels to aim on, and it could have been easy. It could have been a few free frags, but it just doesn't happen. The defense, though, still only down to 2, and the pistols just aren't enough. You do get Dim Sum Boy taken away to 2 on site, but there's no way Verno. There's no way Verno can get this right. The Odin spraying away, and even if the damage is low on 1, Blackheart stays alive with almost full HP with the swing out, 9-7.
It's such a pivotal paranoia because Pony is such a crucial piece of this exec, and I think we see it here on the replay. Our apologies, no we don't. He tries to get out, but slowing Pony down and effectively ensure that no one else can get on the site buys time for that triple rotate where Dim Sum Boy is allowed to play with these util back in those defenders. Spawn and the rotates coming so quick from the Silk Road to stop Oxygen in their tracks. Now we have a weird economic situation where both sides are still able to buy.
It's gonna be an early peek. Actually smoke it off.
Out of my way.
They might put in a lot of util over towards mid to try to get a contact, but Oxygen, they're gonna play this round real slow. Spike back in their spawn, looking to make some contact in A main.
And the knife catches as well Pony here, so they know where the Blade Storm is focused up, and I think that's where the main point of focus for Silk Road would be, because Pony is the main spearhead, especially on Ascent when you need a big entry to break these KJ setups, to break these sight lines on A.
Here.
And similar in that last one where we wanted him to dash on B, but he got caught up. So I think this is where the focus comes back. You can see 2 players posted up and up with an operator. Monsi not too far away as well on this KO. He can support his team with flashes and nades.
Just a good play call though from
Line is
Oxygen.
set Pony up here.
Yeah, so much mystery in a round like this. And Pony just clearing out information, clearing out the space. There's no one full committing to this other than him. And really just a moth
left.
to the flame, right? Attracting all of this attention. Everyone else rotating into B all out of nowhere. There's 2 people here, though. The crossfire could be good for a few. And it was only good for 2. Pony on the other side, almost able to get a rotator, but it's going to be an even 2v2.
It's ridiculously winnable here as well from Oxygen. Rolling Thunder picked up here now from Mitch. And Randy Savage is an alarm bot early towards stairs. This allows him to focus fully on towards lane, and Mitch to just sit and wait with this Rolling Thunder.
Yep, Rolling Thunder in. 1 kill would get the lockdown too. Don't really know if they'll need it, but this is going to be fun. Low HP on both of these last 2 Silk Road players, and Rolling Thunder will come in and cover both sides easily. They're not even dropped yet. They have to drop in while stunned, or wait, of course, for the stun to be gone. Here comes the flash. Counter util again from the breach. Con Artist not able to go through. No one able to tap the spike just yet. Randy Savage around the corner looking for a spray. Mitch is the one that ends up getting it through the box. But
no time,
Fletcher
though.
finally gets the frag. But this is why we were focusing up on the breach so much. So much time wasted off the clock. And it gives Oxygen a round.
I think it's mainly a lot of credit needs to be given to Pony in this round and Mitch. And they're set up to get him in towards Garden. It gets them and nets them the first pick. And Pony is there to slow those rotations, allow his team to fully focus on site. I think he was a key player there. Back over towards, I think it was deep walkway, or whatever you want to call it, the deep tree area over towards A. Cuts rotations off and kind of confuses the heck out of Blackheart. Or I think it was Monsi, apologies. Monsi. He ends up getting caught up by Verno as they rotate through. It's a timeout called for Oxygen. I think this is a moment to figure out what weaknesses they saw in that round and to see, okay, the Silk Road, how can we break apart this defense? Because we did it so effectively in that round. We were able to get Pony up really, really deep in towards Catwalk. How do we replicate our success?
Intrigued with this one again. We have seen the step up from a lot of the players that we've called on. Scuba has stepped up. Pony has stepped up. Verno has stepped up. Con Artist has stepped up. It doesn't seem like really anyone is faltering at this point. Any real first opportunity that any player has, it's going to be 50-50.
And this round is going to allow Oxygen to tie things up with the lesser buy from the Silk Road. But if we get another eco, then that's where we're kind of in dangerous territory. So I think Oxygen need to be very, very cautious in this round. Yes, we have the all-seeing eye, but the buy is so weak that anything can happen. This is North America. Anything happens in ecos, but for now, Oxygen, off of that timeout, taking things exceptionally slow, I think trying to develop.
Grounded.
And knowing that this round is kind of obsolete in the sense that we're not going to be running to their base defaults. Let's try and think for the next round after when they have their full buy. And how do we utilize that lockdown on Hunter's Fury? Put those in a combination when there's a null command on the other side. A lot of factors coming into play as we move into this next round is Oxygen, again, slowing things down, not willing to risk anything in this anti-eco.
Yeah, every kill here is pivotal, of course. The later on we get in this game, the more the ultis become more and more important. In the Silk Road, they haven't charged up either their Hunter's Fury or their lockdown just yet. Those two players are alive. They're going to be heavily hunting at this point, hoping that the Omen doesn't get any of these kills.
Yeah.
But it's finally the plant. They're going to go for this.
We'll see. I'm surprised they don't actually have Scuba go for the planet set. I mean, Randy already had his ultimate online, but I think we're focusing on, again, the main three ultimates of Oxygen, which is that Rolling Thunder, the Hunter's Sphere, and the Lockdown. And I imagine Juvenile, the coach, ex-TSM coach as well, ex-TSM Academy, apologies, how you want to incorporate that into this. Blackheart, okay, has picked up a rifle here, but I think that's really all she wrote. And now that we focus back into this next round, it's a null command that has the ability to shut down both of the ultimates. And it's how quickly are you able to punish him? How do you work around it and deny the opportunity for that null command to come into play? And now we're even more worried because Blackheart and Dimsboy have just gotten their ults online.
Right, it might have to be that long-winded play where they're just trying to find the contact on that KO and trying to put out that Hunter's Fury maybe that we ended up seeing earlier.
And I think with those three ultimates for both of these sides, or apologies, the Silk Road and 2 for Oxygen, it comes to a big ult battle. This is a very
They might get that
round
contact, by the way. Look
for
at
Oxygen. A 10th round, and you eco, or you put Silk Road on an eco, and that's the contact they wanted. Monsi, when do you pop it? I think they're trying to bait it out. I love this early pressure from Oxygen. They want to bait out this ultimate, but Monsi doesn't bite.
Info. Monsi doesn't know exactly how many people are out there. Does hear a few steps. But again, it's only 3 players here. Not a full commitment whatsoever. Just trying to pop the null command and doesn't do it. Didn't bite. As they rotate.
A little bit off of that dart. And 3 players already in position. I think Dim Sum Boy is ready to fall back in towards spawn to play with this lockdown. But I don't know if he wants to pop it for the retake, if he wants to pop it to slow the push. I think this is an instance where you pop it for the retake. You give it up completely, the B site. And Oxygen, off of the Cosmic Divide they picked up earlier. There's that other lockdown, but there's Dim Sum Boy. He's got one up the Nano Swarm. And now things are slowed down for Oxygen. 40 seconds left. And that lockdown will finally be broken. That gives his team the opportunity to get into sight.
30 seconds left.
It's just going to be a fresh round, essentially. Everyone from Silk Road have been waiting patiently back in their spawn. It's going to be a 5v4. There is one, however, sitting in B main. That's a good angle from Mitch. Able to knock it down to 4. No information now for the rest of the round, but they do have the null command finally. Randy Savage around the corner, looking for a big cross up. Gonna be able to get Fletcher. Will they be able to get Con Artist as the rest of their team goes crazy? Dim Sum Boy with another kill. Now it's only down to 1. Randy Savage has to dance. A 1v2 for the cream of the crop. Has a little bit of utility. Only the one Nano Swarm doesn't get anything. The spam doesn't get anything. Needs to get a headshot here. It's not getting the angle, but he finally gets the kill. Dim Sum Boy has to defuse. Randy Savage rises to the top.
How does he do it? He had no util. Nano Storm comes out last second, and you're hoping, you're praying that he gets that spray. And Oxygen, a huge clutch. And that's the impact of this round. We just saw the buy. There's nothing left over here for the Silk Road. No credits, and that means no buy. And this was the round that was sketchy. This was the round that was scary. Because now Oxygen can get themselves onto 11, and you're playing with fire, Silk Road. All it takes is one reset, and you've lost this entire map.
This is why they're putting in so much weird effort into this round. You saw the shotguns, and we could see some weird angles here. Silk Road, they want any sort of gap to bring themselves back into this round.
But I think the way Oxygen have played this map has been perfect on this second half. The Silk Road have been so dominant in their sight holds, kind of banking off of Fletcher on this A site, that Oxygen have completely avoided the A site. They've been focusing mainly over here towards B, and they're playing it cautiously here, knowing that the Silk Road are going to play something cheeky. Respect this Blade Storm. And don't walk into a trap where you lose 1 by 1, where you give up these picks to just deagles and random shorties and corners.
Oh, the paranoia in! Pony getting trapped, and Con Artist does end up getting the frag, but they know exactly where that paranoia came from. Will they be able to TP though? Yes, they do.
On such low HP though, Fletcher just barely getting out, but I think the heavy hit is that they've just lost the Blade Storm. This round, the odds, yes, it's a 4v4, but without that Blade Storm, your odds significantly decrease.
Alarm bot out.
It's going to be just the Sova and also a cross up in mid,
30
potentially.
seconds left.
Finally pull up a smoke to the gate. Has been
Blackheart's
closed.
holding.
Yeah, okay.
Placing
Blackheart.
bomb grenade out.
He might just be aiming for B main, but no, he finally goes with the cross. The shotgun gets
down,
one, but it's
B.
only one. 18 seconds left. Will Dim Sum Boy get into sight? Yes, he will. Can he delay? 15 seconds left. Dim Sum Boy with a headshot. Oh! Again! Connects the dots. It might have just done it. 8 seconds left. Verno scrambling, looking for a pixel. 5 seconds left. Dim Sum Boy has got him. No chance now in the 1v1. As thrifty as you can get for the Silk Road.
And it's KJ, back to KJ. What Randy Savage can do, Dim Sum Boy can do better, apparently.
Look at this.
This is
Immaculate.
a huge 2K for Dim Sum Boy to collect. And in an eco round, they've kept off probably an inevitable scoreline. Have tied us back 10-10 and have now forced Oxygen onto an eco. A huge round. A huge round from Dim Sum Boy. And now it's just about closing it out. A half buy here for Oxygen as they try and get back into this game. The turret being pulled away so it doesn't have the 40-second refresh. But it's Con Artist who has it up, sitting up top of B here.
Dim Sum Boy with a dry peek. There's a second person with them. They're just getting a whole lot of damage, but don't get the frags. There's nobody over towards mid, but they do have the alarm bot. They finally get the peek, but Con Artist goes down. Do still have the man advantage. Pressure is mounting. 3 players are here though.
And we'll see how exactly Oxygen plan to adjust because they've been able to pull Fletcher back over.
They know there's 3 here.
Yeah, forcing a 3-1 split. And Monty has to play a lot more cautiously. He's had such a sleeper of a first map that I'm worried. You know? You don't play a lot into the KDs of players and maps, but for Monty, it's sitting at like 4 and 13. It does get a little bit worrisome. They have found a pick here to break down the numbers for 3v2.
Oh, Verno.
Verno spotted the head. Verno so clean.
Fletcher! Fletcher! He's still alive! Stands tall and actually equalizes the round. A 1v1. And that might have just actually done it, because look at this, 30 seconds left. Time enough for the KO to get in sight. Look at this angle.
No stars. He's got flashes as well, and they're creeping right above him.
Oh, he heard him. And definitely now sees him. Has no idea exactly where he is. Could be left side boathouse. Could be in the corner. It dodges him completely. No, he doesn't actually go into short. I thought Scuba was gonna do the big wrap, but Monsi calls him out. 11-10. Silk Road, they survive their own mini tragedy.
And it's been so many 1v1s that we saw in the first half transition now to the second. Again, these Silk Road players have been so clutch. And there's another from Monsi, who again has had such a weak performance up against Scuba, who's been stepping up massively like we want him to in this first map of Ascent. And so many factors finally coming together. There's still a buy that's allowed to be put together here by Oxygen, but it's risky. You lose here, you have nothing for the next. This is do or die here in map number 1.
Yep, Silk Road. This is everything, and they're going to start it off fast and furious. One pick over towards mid. It'll be the op, and another one is watching tiles. Everyone from Oxygen has some sort of peek over towards that mid side, but will we actually get any action? Con Artist waiting for an opportunity, a bit of util on him. Has the dash, but no one's peeking just yet.
It's a very forward alarm bot here as well. They're prepared for the fact that Con Artist might get rushed, so the alarm bot in a much deeper position this time.
It's a reposition alarm bot, if anything. They can go back into market. They can play that crossfire after the first pick.
I think it's mainly just in case that he gets contact. Alarm bot, vulnerables, allows at least one to swing. What the hell was that shot?
From where? How?
He's all the way. He's all the way in stairs. He's all the way in stairs, and he gets a kill. Well, that's an instant 4v5 in Silk Road. They have the advantage, but they just lost it from Scuba.
Yeah, Paranoia is gonna hit 3 though. Fletcher can go nuts. 2 players. They're about to get unflashed, and the Cosmic Divide is gonna come up. No one else here on A, but Fletcher stays safe.
There's a lockdown here available as well. They dropped an alarm button in preparation towards Garden here, Oxygen, to try and prepare for that play. And already one is looking in towards it. Lockdown in towards Heaven instead. Gives a little bit more space. And the Cosmic Divide in front, this becomes harder because one has just gone online. Mitch is Rolling Thunder.
They respect it. They roll away, but the Rolling Thunder is here, ready and raring to go. Just for the plant, but they still keep delaying. They still have an Aftershock too, if they opt to use it, but the Rolling Thunder...
Rework back towards Cat, rework back towards Cat as well.
It's a good angle, but the smoke is up, and nobody's actually defusing right now. The Rolling Thunder still hasn't come out. There we finally go. Oxygen pulls it out, but one of their players ends up getting stunned. Scuba with a double.
He's on the spike. He's on the spike. He's on it.
They got it. Player goes down. Blackheart trying to defuse, but the score is tied.
And in map number 1, 11-11, and that is a reset. Back and forth these rounds have gone, and Oxygen, they might have put themselves onto 12. Silk Road,
1 second, peeps.
with literally nothing left in their pockets, nothing to work with. And players are stepping up massively. Verno and Scuba at the top, Fletcher and Blackheart, 2 of the key players on Ascent in their last best of 3, are here once again. And now it's up to Oxygen to find 12, and it's with a 5-man hit over towards A. They're gonna wait out this knife. No one tagged, and then they re-hit. 2 players taking this aggressive peek, though.
Yep. Just pistols. Just classics for Silk Road. How much damage can they realistically do here? They're not looking for economic damage either. We're too deep into the game.
Win. They want the win. You don't want to play forward time. They will have the buy, and with their defensive side and how good it's been, at least there's a chance for them to bring us to OT, but that's the last case scenario you want to play for.
Here we go. Pony waiting for other players to try to cross up with him before he comes out of the smoke. Indeed he does. Everyone's still alive for Oxygen. All 4 kills coming out before one comes back from Silk Road. Fletcher pretty much has no chance. That's everything from Oxygen. They wanted a clean round. They pretty much got it.
And they're walking into the next, holding on to this Hunter's Fury. Love it. Oxygen.
Playing for the ulti.
I don't think he's going to have it just because he used it in the last round, but at least they're charging it up. We'll see how close he is. 2 of 8 and 1 off of lockdown for Randy Savage.
Oh, was Randy Savage dead at the end?
Alarm bot out.
I don't think so.
Uh-oh.
I didn't see a Randy Savage death in the kill feed, so I don't actually think he was dead, Gus, but that might just be me.
Moving on anyways, they won't have the lockdown for now. They could definitely fight for an orb. But it'll be a big one as they're all over towards A. There's going to be 3 players here. They do have the power of the knife to try to get that information to shut down that early util.
Get out of my way.
Smoke pulled away to keep them off the angle, and it will be are looking for this lockdown. As they want to put this pressure, I think they're going to have Randy Savage play for it in the post. Hunter's here to try and give some space, and Pony up top goes down to Muncie. And Blackheart finds one of the Hunter's three. There's still time to recollect. It's Scuba and Verno, the key players in this map that are still alive. And they have 2 ults to work with. Silk Road have just used the only one they had left.
What?
3 hit a day. But
Is it
Scuba's pulled
really?
away. Scuba has pulled all the way back towards mid.
What is the plan here? Has to just be that hard bait with only 3 players left. There is no way you expect a fake here. And the Hunter's Theory from the same exact angle? Yeah, there's no way you expect that.
There's absolutely nobody here on the B site. It's Scuba who gets forward, who can take the space back, close the door, and there's already one in rotation. He might be a little bit late. Scuba just right to the fight. And they're going to play the 5-on-3 retake. I think this is a smarter call here from the Silk Road. You have the numbers.
30
And
seconds
this is your
left.
best chance at winning it. Turret's going to allow him to cross. Won't get spotted by it, and they silently walk up. This is
Oh my
ridiculous
God.
calling from Mitch. Ridiculous play from Scuba.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. They still have this full control. Not a single person from
10
Silk
seconds
Road.
left.
And Scuba is going forward. He's tucked into market instead,
Well, he
and they're
has
holding
to.
the only angles they can come from. That being spawn here towards market.
No one's
Inferno,
coming mid.
who's played
No one's
so
coming out.
lights out, is going to have to try and step up. They're both doubling up in market where they can swing back in here with Randy Savage.
This is it. There's 3 players here. Scuba gonna be able to get the first, make it the second. But the trade from around the corner doesn't come in. It's now a 3v1. Randy Savage has to do it all and can't do anything with it. The Silk Road have pushed it to overtime.
And such a successful hold at the end. Up against the face of 2 major ultimates of that lockdown and the Hunter's Fury. They deal with it perfectly, I feel like, they're Silk Road, putting
Switching
pressure and
Oh,
that Hunter's Fury, that con artist, or not apologies, not con artist, Blackheart pops, kind of separating this exec and allowing Monty to find the first kill, who himself hasn't had the best of games. Finds one massive kill in that last round and pushes us into OT. Our first OT here on the mainstream for the qualifying games, and the Silk Road are back on the attack. Both sides on their weaker side now. And it's a matter of, I feel at least, who wins the attack, where I felt both teams have definitely had their own failures.
At least more faults. It's been even both sides, of course, 6-6. It's been a lot cleaner for the Silk Road, a lot more dominant. Let's see what happens. Nice back over towards that mid side because Oxygen, they have a double peek over towards market. I've been looking for something early, but can't do anything off of the knife.
And no alarm bot there mid as well. They're going to be playing that in towards Cat, so they're putting a lot of focus on this mid-market area where Silk Road have focused, at least in their attacking half, the later couple of those rounds where they set up the default with that insta-dart mid and that knife towards market. Now they're starting to enact on those early defaults from all the way back in that first half. Fault line ready here for Mitch as that turret makes contact. And it will allow here, at least Randy Savage, to take that swing. It doesn't overextend. Doesn't want to give his life up just yet.
Randy Savage is so tempted here. Con Art is taking forever to take away that turret. But it's only going to be Con. Everyone's backing out towards tiles. Not really.
And
What is going on?
Alarm bot. They're going back up towards Cat into this alarm, but dart towards A main gives at least full clearance for Scuba. But they're so separated apart. Scuba's going to have his own fight, and so is Verno here on the A site. This is a little sketchy.
But this is too
30
cheeky.
seconds left.
I don't think they expect Scuba where he is. We haven't seen a lot of successful wine plays really ever. This is finally one that could happen. There goes the peaks. Verno waiting for the cross up on site. Able to get
That's
2 out of
ridiculous.
it.
That's
and
ridiculous.
Scuba
Spike down
finally
A.
pops. Able to get 2 out of his cheeky spot.
And Verno standing tall on
10
the
seconds
site.
left.
2 critical kills alongside Scuba. I was so worried that these 1v1s that they were going to have to take would be the demise of them, but they don't check Scuba, and Verno is just, he's dropped a 30 bomb here in the first map. Stepped up massively for his team. A player that underperformed on both maps yesterday has been kind of fluctuating with how he plays. His consistency's been all over. But here, in this first map, on Silk Road's map pick, he's been the one to look out for. And now they've got match point once more, Oxygen. It's about closing it out now on the attack. Con Artist electing to take the op here. Had a great start, but it's slowed down like ridiculously. He's at 10 and 20 right now, Gus.
But the Op is in a good position. Be able to get that first contact. No way! Randy Savage
That's
escapes like a
unbelievable.
bandit.
And that's 10 and 21 now for him. And now they're going to try and re-aggress. And Randy, he's just so aware. He'll rework back in towards B main. Silk Road think they've pushed them out, but the pressure towards mid, that owl drone they just heard, now the focus pivots back between all 4 players.
Whoa, what is this? 2-player swing coming out from Cats. The spread.
What?
Verno lands on his feet and he gets both with the final few bullets, and now A is empty.
And that could literally just be it. A 4-on-2. Verno's going to just risk his life, to be honest. I would risk his life too here.
Yeah.
He is on a heater. And the
He's just
spike
gonna
goes
swing.
down here.
Oh, no,
Mitch,
he gets spotted
they've
too.
got all the util. They know exactly where these players are coming from. The shock dart, the recon bolt was already used. And this is looking disastrous for the Silk Road.
Concealment.
Waiting for the smoke to go down.
So much time.
They're giving themselves a chance at least. They're waiting for it. Verno's down to 9 HP. Like you said, he could just push himself out there, but it's not happening. He keeps himself in an off angle, and Fletcher does finally find him. All 3 are under, though, and it's the perfect trap. Oxygen survive map number 1.
You know, that is a ridiculous way to close out that map. Verno with an insane 2K to give all advantages to them on their match point. But what a first map, 14 to 12. And all the factors that we questioned, I think maybe outside of Con Artist in the second half, all came to fruition. Scuba stepped up,
Yep.
Verno was there. Pody had a great supporting role on the defensive side. Fletcher and Con Artist, they were so good in the first half, but then it faded. Con Artist faded, and then it stepped up to Blackheart. 2 critical players on this Ascent side between Fletcher and Blackheart. Both played phenomenal, and there's still 1 more map guaranteed between them. And with all the variables that we questioned for Oxygen and the Silk Road now answered, there's still so much more Valorant to play, and the question is, how does the form hold moving into map 2?
I mean, it's just the same theme for the last 2 days. It's just pop-off after pop-off. There's always someone who's looking to be an all-star. And in this game, I mean, we got it. Verno, who hasn't been able to pop off in terms of just the kill marker, right? 32 kills from him. It might just be the awakening. But again, so many other players who have been having a slacking tournament so far also still need to step up. Not Con Artist, excuse me. Randy Savage on the defending side. He only got an average of 4 kills in the last 3 days. So we could be able to see that step up, and we did finally see it. So, okay, things are changing for the better, it seems.
Yeah, and I have to be worried, at least for Con Artist coming out of that one, right? Because he had a phenomenal first half, especially on the attacking side. He looked really good, was getting in good positions,
Pretty
nice
good.
first entries, nice first bloods. In the second half, he was 10 and 21 at the end of the map. And when you have someone that is that negative and someone else below you, Monty, who was like 4 and 17 the last time I looked, it's sketchy going forward. And I'm not worried just about this series. I'm worried about even if the Silk Road were to qualify, those 2 players have had underwhelming performances their last 3 series. They need to step up now. You want a chance to challenge the split one, challenge the challengers in the invitational. There's so much room that you have to improve now, or so much you have to work on. And right now, we're not seeing that. Con Artist has to come back alive in that second map, and there's still so much more to play with. But we are going to go into a very quick break as map 2 rears its head around the corner. It will be Breeze coming at you in a second.